Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we're going to quickly check out this NASCAR race. This is the Truck Series race here uh, at Martinsville. Now this is a small track. It's known as a paperclip. It's a half a mile around. This race will have a series of cautions, and it will definitely jumble up the field. So starting near the back and being a top tier truck will definitely be a bonus on this track here. Obviously, we have some good options today. We have some other guys I don't like so much, so we'll get through that here, though. We're going to try to do this quick. So, overall, after the qualifying, we did get a lot of information here. So, Ty Majeski is on the pole, and obviously, that's going to give him a bonus here on this race because he'll likely lead some laps. The question is how long he'll stay up there, and it's going to be hard to stick there the whole time, but he's definitely a good play because he has that upside and potential to stay up there. Corey Heim and Christian Eckes are around him, and they both have some good upside on this track as they've got a pretty good history here. That said, I do like Grant Enfinger starting 20th. He has a lot of room to maneuver up, so he's a high value play, and he's definitely somebody I think is a great opportunity to have a good solid day and be a top scorer. I don't necessarily think he's going to win the race, but I think he can get in the top 10, and that would definitely help on this here. Looking at Ben Rhodes and Nick Sanchez, they probably qualified a little bit too good for me to want to use them today, so I'm going to avoid them for the most part, but they do have some upside. Sammy Smith is going to be a core play for me, as he looks like a really solid option at this point because he's starting 13th, and he's one of the top trucks on this track, so I think he has some really good upside here. Ankarum and then Caruth are both guys that I'm probably in a slight fade, somewhat of a field play, but maybe a slight fade on both of them as they're a little bit too high in the positioning to be liked a lot. I think Caruth is a little bit riskier because he has not performed very well here in the past. As for Crafton and Friesen, I do like both of them today as they're priced pretty good and they're starting in the mid pack. Crafton being a little bit farther back. Crafton looks really solid from this position point. Friesen's kind of a mid-level play. I think he's a little bit of an under, but I do think he has some potential on this one. Then I'll look at Lane Riggs and Taylor Gray. Lane Riggs is starting way too high for me. I don't think there's any reason to use him. I don't think he'll stay up there for very long. As for Taylor Gray, he's actually a little bit too high of a positioning as well. Though he does have some upside here, so he has some potential, but I don't necessarily love him. I am fading Ty Dillon and Cam Waters pretty extensively here because they just don't have a lot of potential in this race. And then Tanner Gray looks like one of my favorite plays as well, and he qualified 19th, so he has some room to maneuver. As we look down the track here, we look at Chase Purdy, Jake Garcia, and William Savelich. I like all three of these guys. Now Garcia's he's starting a little too high for me, but I do like Purdy and Swalowich the best of those three. But I do think Garcia's kind of got some GPP style potential there. Then I go farther down from that, and we don't have a whole lot here with Dean Thompson and Bailey Curley and Honeycutt, as all three of these guys starting a little bit too high to even be considered here. But then we get to Matt Mills, and I really like Matt Mills as a good solid option today. He's going to have a lot of potential in this race. He's got a pretty good truck, and while he hasn't qualified and finished very well so far this season, this is a good situation where he's going to have a lot of upside. Looking at some other options here, Jack Wood is too high up on the track to really be viable here. Same goes for, well, not that he's great, but Timmy Hill and Daniel Dye and Mason Massey all kind of fades for me. They don't have a lot of upside, and they haven't had history of doing that well here. Then we'll look at Brett Holmes, and he's a guy I actually like as a value play. Now, he's not a must-play by any stretch of imagination, but he's cheap, and he does have some potential because of his starting position, and he's got a pretty good truck here. And then as we look at the rest of the track, Malazi, Justin Carroll, Thad Moffitt, Wallace Allen, and Spencer Boyd. The only guy that I would even consider a little bit would be Moffitt, but honestly, I don't think there's anybody down there that you really need to utilize. So it's a pretty short track here, but this is pretty much what I have here. So these guys are going to be in my core, and Sammy Smith and Tanner Gray. And there's definitely guys up the top and in the middle and below that you can utilize.